Chapter 60. Love and Kids. Married life settled into a pattern. They would have coffee and toast together very early. She'd kiss Danny goodbye, feed the goats, clean the stables. Then she'd take her bicycle and ride the 4 miles to Sunrise Acres and feed goats, clean stables, turn out the lactating nannies to the pastures, and prepare for them to come in again in the afternoons. She had been taken off milking duty since living off the farm, and Hank had silently started to do more farm work. He was shy and as silent as his father. He and Christina cleaned the milking parlour in the mornings and would be busy with that when Eleanor came in. At first they did it in complete silence. Then she would hear Christina chatter away in her undaunted, friendly fashion. It took 3 weeks, but one morning when Eleanor was on the other side of the wall in the kidding stables, she suddenly heard him burst out laughing. She stopped and listened. She couldn't hear the words, just the laughter. It marked a change, and she watched it with joy. He had been fitted with a temporary wooden leg, and now it was Christina who drove him to the doctor, to the prosthetic appointments, whose strong shoulder he grabbed onto when he slipped. Then there came the day when she walked into the cheese room and he was kissing Christina against the wall. She silently stepped out, joy in her heart, but not before she saw her friend's eyes fly open and look at her. She winked and closed her eyes again. Hank never knew she was there. Later Christina sought her out. She looked a little abashed. "He needs me, Eleanor." "He does. You are so good for him, Stina." "Do you love him?" She shrugged. "El, you and I are different. But yes, I do. He's not my Danny, but I love that I am needed. I love that he looks at my butt when I walk away, and that I can make him feel whole again. I love that he laughs from his stomach, even when I'm not that funny. I love that I can see him getting stronger every day." "My sweet friend, if that isn't love, then I don't know. I don't know what Aggie will say." Eleanor found out soon enough when Agatha came to talk to her. She was busy giving extra milk to a tiny kid whose 2 siblings outsized and outdrank him when Aggie appeared in the door. "Eleanor, can I talk to you?" "Of course. Is everything all right?" Aggie shrugged. "I want to talk to you about Christina. I know she's your friend, but I know you will be honest in what you think. She's going around with my Hank. I think you'll know. Eleanor, I didn't like Christina when you two came here. Her pants are too tight. She swings her hips in that way, and she looks at all the men. I thought she was a hussy, but in time she's worked for her place here. She doesn't shirk her duty. She might talk and giggle and flirt, but I don't think she's a bad girl. There is goodness in her, right?" Eleanor nodded. "She has coached my boy right out of that awful, pale, shell-shocked state he was in when we brought him home." She swallowed a little. "She has been good for him, and I can accept that. I can accept anything that brings my boy home. Not just home, but—" She put her hand over her heart. "Home. Christina has done that, and I can see that in time Hank will ask her to stay. Eleanor, if she's going to be my daughter and the mother of my grandchildren, I must ask, does she love him? Will she be good to him?" Eleanor stood up, stroking the tiny kid's head. She looked at Aggie's watery eyes. Yes, she will. I caught them kissing, and she came to me and told me that she loves him and that she needs him. Aggie, I think Christina needs to be needed, and she's never been really needed before in her life. I think she will lay down her life to make Hank whole and keep him whole, as long as she feels something in the world depends on her. She, too, is just a lost little girl." Aggie nodded slowly. "I misunderstood her at first." Thank you, Eleanor. That night, Francine went into labor and she struggled. They had a lantern hung from a beam and a hessian bag over the window as a blackout curtain. Danny wanted to call Pete. No, I think I've got it. We'll call if I don't manage. I've seen how to do it and I've had to help because my hands are smaller. Danny stood in concern and held the young nanny's head. She bleated in distress and the sound tore at Eleanor's heart. She had soap, warm water and 2 dry cloths. Hold her tight for me. She might struggle and I might have to pull very hard. She soaped up her hands and carefully felt around. There was only one little leg to the front. She had to push against the slippery mass, push it back, timing carefully against Francine's contractions. She saw Danny watch her anxiously over the goat's back. Are you sure you don't need me to go fetch Pete? She smiled at him. Slowly, surely. Then she felt the other leg. Hold her really tight. Francine gave a human-like scream. Eleanor desperately struggled, and then they were 2 little legs aligned. She got hold, waited for Francine to bear down again, screaming, and pulled. Pulled again. Pulled again. I've got both feet out. The little head lay on the legs in diving position. She pulled. Francine pushed. Danny was biting his lip. 2 more pulls timed with pushes and the little head was out completely. She wasn't sure if the kid was alive. Pulled again and then in shoves and heaves he came into the world. You can let Francine go. She rubbed him and the little black body shook into quivering life. Oh, my word. Danny whispered softly. He was smiling in wonder. Francine turned and checked on her baby. He was the twin of his father, the glorious black Lancelot, and very sturdy. When Francine had licked him down, Eleanor had Danny hold her again so she could make sure there wasn't a twin stuck. It was a single kid. She washed her hands and joyously watched as the tiny kid fought, gained his footing, fell over and tried again until he stood, nursing the rich colostrum from his mother, who happily murmured her affection. My first baby, and he's so handsome, the spitting image of his dad. Danny kissed her again. I'm so proud of you. I couldn't believe how you just handled that. I was terrified something was going to go wrong. She laughed up at him. I am so happy, love.